I came in this country more than 30 years ago from India, thinking this such a great country, open country. This is my first ever photograph as well.
The first ever?
First
My
time.
God.
This is
Wow.
Prithi grew up in the Punjab.
This is the passing out.
He served in the Indian Army for 8 years.
Again, I think he was somewhere here.
me. Yes, that's the one, yes.
In 1976, he moved to Bedford and got a job as a manager in a well-known public sector organization where he worked for 25 years.
Everything was going fine until one particular person moved into our office. He happened to belong to the upper caste, so-called upper caste. And as he came in, he learned who I am and who is the manager. I happen to be his manager. He did not say nothing directly to me, but he told the other people, his fellow colleagues, which are all my staff. He said to the people that he is a higher caste, I am the untouchable, I am the very, very low, and if I was in India, he said, he's not my manager. So what the people were telling me, he said, you're not his manager, you're not this person's manager, so because you're this, you're this or the other, all the names he was telling them. They started to make a joke of it. They took it as it was very funny. I was totally like a shell-shocked, and it hit me like a bolt out of the blue. I did not know how to react to this. I didn't know how to respond to that. But I tried to take it lightheartedly, so to go along with the joke.
When he called you untouchable and that you being an untouchable cannot be his manager, what hit you the most? What hit you the hardest?
It's happening in Britain. It's happening here, which I never ever expected. Excuse me, which I never ever, I never ever expected this, never ever expected it. This was the last thing coming into this country. Coming into this country, thousands of miles away, that how this followed me into such a great country. I worked with this individual well over 10 years. And this behavior continued all that time. Even if I complained to my senior manager, they would have not understood me. So I never complained to nobody that this person is calling me these names.
Prithi stayed in his job until retirement. Now he campaigns against caste discrimination. Although what he experienced happened over a decade ago, caste prejudice continues today. In Britain, it's estimated there are 500,000 people who are Dalits, those belonging to the so-called lowest caste. A government commission report 3 years ago found evidence that some face harassment and discrimination at work, in schools, and in the provision of care. Although the caste system has its basis in Hinduism, it has spread to other religions.
Living in India, as I do, you cannot help but notice the existence of the caste system, the ancient social hierarchy which puts people in different categories by birth. To this day, those born in the so-called lower castes face serious discrimination. The people who face the worst kind of discrimination are the Dalits, who were branded as untouchables. For a long time now, untouchable has been considered as an extremely derogatory term. The Indian government has made such kind of discrimination illegal, though it doesn't mean it has been stamped out. Here, in Britain, there is no such law.
I'm visiting one of the temples attended by the Dalit community in Bedford, the Valmiki temple, to meet Ram.
This is our main prayer room. We have our holy scriptures here. This is one of our many paintings we have of Bhagwan Valmiki.
Ram was born and brought up here and is an IT consultant for a multinational company. Later, he recounted what happened to him when 3 years ago, an Indian colleague questioned him about his religion at work.
soon as I said I'm a Valmiki, the first thing she said without any hesitation was, "Oh, you're one of the untouchables." And I was really shocked and surprised to hear that from her. You know, for somebody from, you know, we're in this day and age, and somebody to say that, especially into a professional environment as well, just I didn't experience anything like that before ever in my life. And I was shocked to hear that. And then she went on to say, "Oh, your God it was a daku, which means a thief." So I questioned her comments and saying, "Where did you hear that from?" She goes, "It's in our scriptures. I have a tattoo on my arm, for example, which is personal to me and my family." And she made a derogatory comment about that, stating that, oh, in the old days, untouchables were branded like cattle almost, to mark them as untouchables. And that really upset me, and I was really very angry against her. But the other thing that got me was she was looking at, our team members were looking at me thinking, oh, he's getting quite angry about this, what's happening with the two of them? I didn't really take it on from then, and we finished our coffee break and went back into the meeting. But what made it worse is she started telling the other the non-Asians there that it's about myself, saying, oh, he's one of the untouchables, he's low caste in our communities, he's this. It's really making me feel small in front of other people there. A couple of weeks went by, and I told my manager, and I said, look, I can't work with this woman anymore because she's really upset me and made comments about my community as well, which I'm not very happy about. And I'd like to get moved off the project. My manager kind of understood what I was coming from, but he said there's nothing we have as company policy, or there's nothing in the law for this kind of situation. So there's nothing much they can do, but what we'll do is we'll look to move you on to another project. But as a company or anything else, there's nothing they could do, so it's almost bite my tongue and move on kind of situation.
Ram is campaigning to get the law changed, and in the House of Lords, legislation has been proposed to make caste discrimination illegal.
My Lords, we know in the case of legislation on race, for example, that nothing has been more effective in reducing racial prejudice than the law. It has had a most powerful educative effect, and nothing could be more significant and effective in reducing discrimination on the grounds of caste than to have a clear-cut law that discrimination in the public sphere would not be tolerated.
But the government opposes legislation and favours education instead.
There are other people who suffer prejudice in this country because of things like their class, their background, or their place of birth. But we have no legislation on these matters, and we deal with them through other approaches. We are clear that no one should suffer prejudice because of caste, as I have already said. Such prejudice should not be condoned, and it should never be ignored. And that is why I am pleased that the government has announced that it is taking clear action to tackle caste prejudice and discrimination through an educational initiative.
What strikes me about Britain is how multicultural it is. Yet, how strongly unacceptable cultural attitudes are challenged here must be a difficult question for society. And with the children and grandchildren of immigrants growing up in this country, it cannot be ignored.
My grandson came from school, and he said that his friend said to him, "Oh, I'm from the highest caste of the Sikhs." Where did you pick that from? So it's obvious that the older people are telling younger people. How do I explain to a young 10-year-old about the caste system, who's never seen the working of caste system, who thinks he's equal to anybody who goes to school with?